Hi everyone. For those of you I have not met, my name is Shawn Maguire, and I'm so glad you're here today. I want to start by talking about 2 keys to create a successful marriage. And the first key is focusing on how you can become the right person. And you do this by asking God to change you and focusing on how He can change you and not your spouse. When you do this, you take this noose that many of us in marriage have had around our necks that's tethered to our spouse so that when they make a bad decision, we fall off the cliff with them. When they're doing well, we kind of go up with them as well. And we act in kind. And we have this 50-50 marriage that's based upon somebody else's decisions. I say, who the Son sets free is free indeed. So I encourage you, take this opportunity to say, I'm going to cut that cord to my spouse. I'm going to put this heart to God and say, Lord, have your way in my life. I'm going to focus on who you've called me to be starting today. And then you begin steps towards freedom, because then you're not tethered to their decisions of how you act, how you think, how you feel. What's the second key? The second key is to become a student of your spouse. Find out what they like. Think about when you dated. You knew what they liked to eat. You knew where they liked to go to watch movies. You knew what kind of movies they liked. And you made decisions with your time and your priorities based upon that other person. You thought about them. They were on your mind, on your heart. You are a great student. I encourage you to go back there and become a student again. Take time to get to know your spouse and who they are today. Stop making assumptions and start making dates. I want to leave you with 2 stories of some people I've seen in the past. The first guy, his name is Joe, and he came in with his wife for marriage counseling. Very obvious to me quickly that he was aggressive and likely very abusive. Well, one session, he was getting scared and his wife was mousing away like this, and he was hulking towards her like this, and I said, do you see why she's afraid? Do you see why she's reclusing? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, do you want to change your marriage? Yeah, I want to change my marriage. Are you sure you want to change your marriage, Joe? Yes, I want to change my marriage. So rapidly, I pulled out this mirror, put it in his face, and like lightning, he grabbed the mirror and he smashed it. Joe smashed any hope of seeing who he was because he was not willing to look at himself to change. His focus was on his spouse needing to change. I want to start with another story. This guy's name is Brian. He comes with his wife to marriage counseling, and his wife's like, look, unless you change, I'm out. I can't stand this anymore. We start the process. He's charming. He's a nice guy, but he's really dismissive. His wife, no matter if she cries, she weeps, he wouldn't change. He wouldn't give in. He thought she was being emotional. He dismissed her thoughts, her feelings, her ideas as irrelevant. And finally one day she slapped her hand and she said, look, unless you change, me and the kids are going to be gone and you're going to be stuck with this huge house all by yourself. And so he said, Shawn, I'm desperate. I'll do anything. I said, all right. Ask as many of the people that care about you and your wife to therapy. And I'm going to bring them in and we're going to do an intervention. So I had a room, counseling office filled with people sitting, people standing, all the chairs in my lobby were in my office, people behind me, people in front of me, everywhere. And you know what we did? Uninterrupted, she was allowed to share her story. And these people, some of them are crying, I thought this one guy was going to fight him. I had to calm him down because they were so angry that without his slant, out his filter, telling people what to think, she was devastated and hurt by how he'd acted. 2 stories. Let me tell you where they ended. Brian chose to change, and he saw who he was in light of Christ, and he broke. They're happily married today. They're living a life, mentoring other couples, loving other people. Their house is huge, and so they bring people in. This other couple, they didn't make it. He chose to never look at himself and continue to abuse her, and so she had to save herself and live. Today, this finds you in a certain situation. I don't know your story, but you have a story, and I know your story matters. I encourage you, take this invitation to change and focus on how you can change yourself, not your spouse. Begin becoming a student and investing. You'll be glad you did. God bless. So glad you stopped by, and I look forward to seeing you again really soon.